The Kool-Aid drinking Republican apologists and the floundering Democrats are daily ignoring the crimes against the Constitution by Vice President Dick Cheney and the looting of the Treasury by his corporate cronies. And this morning, I read a New York Times recap of then Congressman Cheney's minority report during the Iran-Contra hearings, a report that even the sane members of his own party voted against. Now, in it, it reveals that Mr. Cheney's interpretation of the Constitution has been woefully and wildly inaccurate for years and years, particularly when it comes to presidential power. Had he been around during the founding of this nation, Mr. Cheney would have been a monarchist, clamoring for the establishment of a king. Fortunately, our founders ignored the Cheneys of their day and provided us with a document to protect us from them. Now, we're currently faced with two problems. One is that monarchists, people who believe in absolute power wielded absolutely, have always existed and will always exist. It's a part of human nature. When they get too close to the levers of power, regardless of the strengths against them, they act as if the laws no longer apply to them. Does it sound familiar? The best analogy I can come up with for Dick Cheney's interpretation of the Constitution is a little like Willie Sutton's interpretation of the laws against robbing banks. Now, the second problem is that the people whose job it is to enforce the laws are running around like chickens with their head cut off. They're ignoring their ultimate priority and their sworn duty to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States of America. I will grant you that there are plenty of issues facing this nation. Some of them are gravely important. My top three priorities are the war in Iraq, the environment, and health care. As an aside, I think if we could stop multinational corporate pirates from plundering the third world, we might have fewer illegal immigrants on our hands, but that's another story. Now, all of these issues, unfortunately, pale in comparison to the ultimate priority. Unless we defend the Constitution from those in power who willfully assert their right to break the law whenever they feel like it, we, the people, will have thrown away the only protection we have from having the instrument of government wielded against us. Think about that for just a second. That's why this is critically important. Now, lately, I've been reading the history of Germany between the First and Second World Wars, and before you go getting your knickers in a knot, I suggest you go and read the same stuff. Hitler and his followers used many of the same arguments advanced by Mr. Cheney and his cadre of advisors to President Bush to destroy any and all protection for the private citizenry of Germany. They were aided by those who recognized what was going on and did nothing to stop them. We know where that led, to war and to Holocaust. Right now we're just at war, and we're ignoring little holocausts going on all around the globe. Setting aside the other important business of the country, to put our house in order is absolutely essential for two reasons. The first and most obvious is that the White House gang has broken and continues to break the law whenever it suits them. And we have a Congress which, for all intents and purposes, is acting like a knitting circle sitting across the street from the White House, rocking and knitting as the Model T pulls up and going, "Oh, damn that Willie Sutton, there he goes robbing the bank again." It's time to do something. The second, and equally important reason, is that we must reassert the proper use of the constitutional process of impeachment, which is to protect against high crimes and misdemeanors. It was hijacked by the Republicans for purely ridiculous purposes during the last administration. Now, I understand the Democrats are in part cowed by impeachment because they're afraid of what two successive impeachments would do to this country. Well, the last one was a witch hunt that profaned the intention of the Constitution and did no service to the framers. Lying about a blowjob, whether under oath or not, hardly rises to the level of an impeachable offense. Compare this to the Bill of Particulars against the current administration, lying to Congress and the American people during the run-up to the war in Iraq, firing prosecutors to obstruct justice and lying about it, outing CIA operatives purely for political vengeance, granting no-bid contracts to crony contractors and allowing them to loot the Treasury. The list goes on. You'll see that we must impeach in order to put this House back in order. That's what an impeachment of this administration will actually do. It will restore the constitutional balance that our founders intended. It will mean our elected officials are actually doing their job. fulfilling their oath of office on behalf of all the citizens of this nation, now and for all the time to come. Gonzales, Cheney, and Bush must be brought to the bar of the Senate, or the Constitution is dead, and the nation that we were handed dead along with it. Think about it. Good day.